Do you either of you guys remember the first time you were like watching a movie or TV show or something, and you were like, I'm attracted to that person. I don't know if I understand exactly what it is, but like you just had feelings about it. Like, do you remember
Very
the first time that
definitely.
happened?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
please kick us off, Nathan.
All right. The year is 1993, which I'm pretty sure might have been the greatest year. It was the peak of human civilization. And I saw Jurassic Park for the first time. And I saw Laura Dern in those little beige shorts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy, 6-year-old Nathan, something was awoken there. And, to this day, whenever I watch that movie, I'm like, damn. I actually dressed up one year for Halloween as Laura Dern from, in Jurassic Park. Ellie Sadler, Dr. Sadler. And yeah, I enjoyed that. That was great.
It's getting dark in the closet. So I'm going to tell this story and then it's going to make me get out of the closet. So,
okay.
So when you asked like when I fell in love with someone on screen, I didn't really know. It was, I think it's preteen Gabby. She's been watching The Mummy for like years and years and years. But this time it hits different because when Rachel Weisz shows up on screen, it was game over. I was like, wow. When she's the hottest, when she's right after they jump ship.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I know where you're going with this.
Okay. When she jump ships and then they decide to get camels to make up for the fact that they didn't get any horses. But they were on the right side of the river. Anyways. So when she steps out of like the tent, all looking all gorgeous and like the sort of like the Middle Eastern garb, like the belly dancer garb, I was like, oh, I was like, holy shit. I had braces back then. I was like, holy shit, man, this is like Melissa Etheridge's Come to My Window starts blaring. So that's
Crimson and Clover.
No.
Yeah.
It's more like, come to my window. Come to my... And then, yeah.
Welcome to Singing Corner with Gabby.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely a good pick. Mine, I remember so clearly because how I almost had the most embarrassing story ever. And it's only a little bit embarrassing because only I know about it, but I can relay the information. So the first time I remember seeing someone on screen where I was like, oh, I have feelings. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Mm-hmm. And it was the girl that Will dated for like most of the season. She had like short hair. I don't remember the character's name, but she had like short hair and they like almost get married at one point. But I was like super into her. She was just like little and bossy and shit. And one day, little 4-year-old Josh decided, I'm going to kiss that girl. So and this is an old CRT tube TV. Oh my God. I went and kissed the screen and got a static shock on my lips.
It was meant to be. It was electricity, man.
Yeah.
That, or I got taught my first lesson in consent. Yeah. But I just remember the like embarrassment of getting shocked and like jumping back and then looking around to see if anyone had seen me and they hadn't. And I didn't tell anyone that story until like maybe a year ago. Like, I would like fall asleep at night embarrassed because as a 4-year-old I kissed a TV.
Oh my God. All right. So if for the visual episode, put a clip of like someone getting out of the closet or just use this clip because I'm gonna, you can't see me.
Yeah, it's definitely that.
Oh, Jesus. Ow. Fuck. Oh, God.
What happened to your knee?
Okay. So I'll tell you about that. So,
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so Monday night we decided to go down to Good Robot. Okay, and I decided to dress femme. So normally I don't really dress femme, but I wore a skirt and
nice.
I wore like these platform sandals that I usually do wear, and. Jesus. Okay. So now you can see me, but now I'm tangled. Okay. God, this is just turning into a hot mess of a episode.
Aren't they all?
Yeah. So basically, I decided. So we spent the night at it was a group of friends. We can you still hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd move the mic a little bit closer to you, though. You're a little bit more muffled out here.
How about now?
That sounds a little bit better, yeah.
Okay. So I decided to wear Jesus Christ. This okay, never mind. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Just roll with it.
It's fine. Okay. Man, it's anyways, it was at the end of the night. I was walking to go find a scooter, and I wasn't looking where I was going, and I missed like the curb, and then next thing you know, I fell to my knees, and then somehow like the way I fell propelled me backwards,
Oh,
and so I fell with like my legs up in the air. But thankfully the skirt went down to my knees, so I didn't flash anyone but Gooter.
What an archaic term.
I know.
I've not heard anyone throw that one around in a while.
Oh man, yeah.
But still, when was that? Monday? Okay, that's
Yeah.
not so bad. That I was like, if that's like a week old, you got to treat that or something. That's
No,
it's
it's
a
Monday.
little fresh.
Yeah.
Hasn't something very similar happened to you in the past?
What
And-
that I
that you-
fell?
Well, that you
Oh.
you fell like on a curb, and I thought you had told me at one point that you have like a scar or something from
Oh, yeah.
falling.
Can you? Oh,
I don't know
my
if we can
skin
see
is
it. The
so
resolution
white.
might not.
It
Yeah,
It
it's just blowing
reflects-
out the screen.
it
Yeah.
blows out the screen. Anyways, I have a scar right here.
Oh yeah, that I can see.
Yeah, and like right here, because I so this is a good 7 years ago. This is like my last my last year of college. Anyways, it was Halloween, and I had this werewolf mask, and I went as a full werewolf. I had werewolf class. I was great. It was great. Actually, I have a Polaroid of it. Let me show you my costume.
Okay.
1 second. I'll be right back.
The show and tell hour.
That's right.
We're getting up to now.
1 second.
Well, while she's doing that, the last time I
You're
had
back.
a bad fall when I was okay. I had a bad fall when I was younger and drunk, where we had went on to a golf course at night when it was closed, and we collected as many golf balls as we could from the driving range, so all of our pockets were full. So we just like walked around this newly built neighborhood, putting them in people's mailboxes, scattering them on their lawns, like we were gonna start growing golf seeds and shit. And eventually I was like, okay, in my infinite wisdom, I'm at the top of this big hill, this street. I'm going to throw a golf ball down it and not care what happens because I'm fucking 19 years old.
All right.
Yeah.
I
And,
forgot that I had moved all of my photos into a photo book because of the wildfires that was happening. So I have like my photo album and a big container of, priceless memories that I just grab and go in case the fires ever came to Spryfield. God, why am I so out of breath? Okay. So, anyways, when I fell, I was wearing this. Can you see?
Oh, I can kind of see.
Anyways,
yeah, there
Oh
we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Anyways,
nice.
so I was wearing that. I didn't have the mask on, but I was a good 8 beers deep. And
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. So both my friend and I were walking, and their partner at the time, and another friend of ours were walking. They were like a good, like, couple feet in front of us, like good, like 10, 15 feet. Anyways, we're walking McDonald's on Quinpool, but I saw Sicilian when it was still there on Quinpool, and I just saw Sicilians and I was like, fuck it, I want pizza. I don't want McDonald's, I want pizza. So I was like walking, and then I was like, hey guys, let's go get pizza. Smack. Smack. Right on, like I fell on my elbow, and then my face like smacked and ricocheted off the pavement.
Oh.
So I don't know here, but I got two caps on my teeth because
Oh, that's rough. I've never banged my teeth and had them replaced. The story I was telling right before you came back was that I had me and a buddy collected golf balls from a golf course at night. We were distributing them onto people's lawns and in their mailboxes like Johnny Appleseed.
nice.
And I decided to throw one down the street, like Main Avenue. I was like, I'm going to throw this golf ball down the street and bounce it real hard. So I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll get a running start downward because that'll add to the momentum.
Oh my God.
And as I tried to throw the ball, of course, you get that like, oh, I'm leaning too far forward. And it's like you're forced to run. And then I like fell into this tumble and rolled down the hill a little bit. And I was like, oh, my elbow really hurts. And it wasn't until I got back home that I pulled down my sweater. The sweater didn't rip, but I had a huge chunk ripped out of my elbow. And I was like, that's fine. I just slapped a giant Band-Aid on it, didn't clean it. And it was like 4 days later, I like took it off when I was at my dad's place. And he was like, what the fuck? It was like orange and like gross and shit. And he like dumped peroxide on it. And I was like, oh God. So I had to do that.
Yeah.
But you talking about falling a chip in the teeth reminded me of a time I went to karaoke with friends at the Lion's Head.
Yeah.
And when we left, we were walking back. We didn't live too far from it at the time. And at one point, I was my girlfriend at the time. I like slapped her on the butt and shouted, gotta go fast, and then took off running. And everybody got distracted except for my buddy Zach. He was the only one who saw as I was like, doing like a mock like Tom Cruise full speed run. I like started to look back and I don't know if I like tripped over the curb or stepped up on it a little bit or something. But the next thing I knew, boom, my face hit the ground, broke my glasses in half. I like busted. I remember feeling like my eyebrow like make contact, and I just like got all fucked up. There was cuts like, and I rolled too. So there was like cuts on like all sides of my arms, all over my legs. I jumped back up. I was like, I'm fine. Let's keep going. And I started to walk, and then I could feel something like in my eye, and it was the blood all coming out of my eyebrow into my eye. And I was like, okay, I'm not good. And I just laid down.
Oh my God.
My girlfriend had a first aid kit with her because she just always had one. And so I just laid there. Zach like gingerly put like Band-Aids on my fucking eyebrow. And the next day I went to work and people were like, did you get into like a motorcycle accident? And I was like, nope, got into a street fight, but the street won.
Oh my God. So that's not even like the full story. So the full story is, so when I was down for the count. I was like basically looking up, and I see my friend at the time. She was stuffing, because like I also split my lip open, so she thought I was bleeding from like spitting blood out, because she thought like something actually was. She maybe thought I bit my tongue, and so she was like sticking like a bunch of tissues into my like mouth, and I was like, whoa. Anyways, I was like, what the fuck happened? And then I looked over, and my arm was like, but it was this part was like, it was bad. It was like in a really bad shape, and I knew I couldn't get up. So I went from like crying to laughing to crying to screaming, "Don't look at me," because I would look like a state. Anyways, these garbage men, city like garbage men, drove by, and they were like, "Oh fuck, what happened?" And then so they called an ambulance, and I remember my friend called my mom first, and my mom was my mom was like, "Okay, don't call an ambulance. I'll be right down." My mom's a nurse for like 30 plus years. So she's like, I'll be down. We'll get her up. We'll go. I couldn't get up. Anyways, the paramedics get there. Super nice guys. They probably thought like, they were like
super great. Total bros.
Oh yeah, man. It was just like, because I hung out with them basically in a stretcher in ER for like a good couple hours. Anyways, I went from me laughing, crying, and then I had to like get up and like put my arm like this, because the way that it broke, it splintered. Like, Anyways, so they got me into the fucking ambulance. And just as my mom came in, of course, this was like my crying phase. So I also had red lipstick on, and I also had mascara, so I looked like a fucking state. So like, I look like
like on The Simpsons when he has the makeup shotgun, just like blasted in the face, just all fucked up.
And then my mom opened it, and I bawled. I was like. And my mom is like trying not to laugh. She's like, okay, well, I'll meet you there. And then so we ended up going, and I was just hanging out in an emergency room, and the nurse, my mom was like, come on, I'm her mom, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, my mom's a nurse. And my mom just like kind of was like, don't tell me I'm a nurse. What the fuck is wrong with you? Because I don't know, there's like some weird nurse's code that if you're in an emergency room or anywhere and you tell people you're a nurse, I think that she thinks it's probably like uncouth or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask her more about that. But so I told them that she was a lawyer. Which is so I ended up getting a room to myself, so maybe that helped. So I actually had to get surgery on it. So just wait. They had to like put my arm in a cast, and to do that, I think they'd have to move my arm a lot. So they gave me was it fentanyl, which is at first I was like
strong.
It is strong. Oh my god, it was like, but I was out for the count. And then when I woke up, I was in my own room, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna do surgery on you in like 12 hours." I'm like, "Okay." And then it was, so by the time I was up in my room, it was like around 5 o'clock in the morning. A nurse knocks on my door. She's like, "Hi, I'm gonna be your nurse for like the next couple hours. I have my daughter here because she's bring your kid to work day. Do you mind if she comes in?" And I was like, "No, just honestly come on in." And I'm like, this is like a prime example you should not aspire to be.
Yeah.
Stay in school.
Don't grow up to be me.
Don't grow up to be me, man.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, this is not even.
Nathan, oh my god.
Okay, very end. The time, like, I have pictures of myself. I'm gonna put it in the group chat of me just looking
Please
awful.
do.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
We'll make a collage and put it on the Patreon.
Yeah.
It'll be a picture that people can buy.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I ended up instead of being a whole hour surgery. Okay. I had to get surgery. Anyways, they wheeled me down. This is the QE2. The surgeries take place in the basement. So when they wheeled me up, the anesthesiologist asked me some questions. They wheeled me to outside one of the surgery rooms. I look over, and there's like this tech just mopping up buckets of blood. Just, it looked like a horror movie, and I was like, I'm gonna die.
Oh my god.
That was my very first surgery.
Just, I like how I specified the first.
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, I know you've had others.
Yeah.
Nathan, you ever fallen and hurt yourself?
Oh my god. Very
drunk?
mildly.
Let's narrow it down.
Yeah, no, just when I was like 9 years old when I was a kid, so I probably wasn't drunk at the time. And I went over the handlebars of my bike. Yeah. And that was just like hitting a pothole, and it was honestly the cartoon, like you just woo right over the handlebars, because I weighed nothing as a kid, nothing at all. And I didn't realize that I had broken my rib until I was in the hospital for a completely different different adventure, where my legs started, or I guess stopped working properly for about 3 months. But yeah, the doctors were doing all sorts of tests on me, x-rays, and they're like, "Do you know you have a broken rib?" And I was like, "Oh, neat." And they were like, "Well, it's kind of healed now, so we're just gonna leave it be, because otherwise we have to break it and reset it."
Yeah.
So I still have one rib where I can kind of feel that it's just like just kind of off a little bit. But no, I have not done anything quite as ludicrously violent to myself as you two, I don't think.
Yeah, that's not even the first bone that I ever broke. I broke this elbow. I fractured this elbow. I fractured this elbow.
What are you doing with your elbows?
I don't know, man.
Like, are you coming off the top rope every night? Like, what's going
Yeah.
on here?
I decided to just do an absolute like pile drive
Yeah.
on the concrete
The
every single
people's
time.
elbow.
Yeah. And I also, this ankle, I'm not very flexible. I also fractured this elbow too. I mean, elbow. Ankle.
Your leg wrist.
My leg wrist.
Yeah.
And then I fractured my pinky toe while running out of a one-night stand.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
Oh my god.
Yeah. They were leaving. They were leaving because like it was during university and they were leaving to go back home, and they had their suitcase open up in the hall, and I like was walking, and then I heard it crack, but I was like,
oh god.
my taxi's here.
Okay. So they knew you were going. This wasn't like
Yeah.
a middle of the night, like
No, yeah,
fly
no.
by night kind of sneak out.
Yeah, no.
Okay. You didn't have to cover your mouth and like that.
Well, they did have roommates, so I didn't want to scream.
Oh, okay.
Fuck. I didn't want to scream that, so.
All right. Well, let's talk about what movies we've been watching. Run that theme.
Who gives a fuck about movies?
Okay, what after all that, let's see, Nathan, got any new movie stuff? Not even a new movie. Got any movies to talk about?
So this week I haven't been doing much in the way of movie watching, unfortunately. Just I have cousins down from Vancouver. My wife also has one of her cousins down, and they're all kind of little kids. So for the most part, I've just been shuttling back and forth and seeing family. But I do have a question to pose to you guys in lieu
What's
of
up?
actually
She-
talking
they
about a
can't see
movie.
you.
When you finish that, can you finish the rest of the kitchen?
Yeah.
Everything's put away.
Okay.
Like,
Thanks, Mom. Do you want to say, say hi? Come here.
She should, yes.
Just. Hi.
hey guys,
Hey.
what's up?
She they can't hear you.
Oh,
Yeah, no, we can hear.
Oh, I mean, she can't hear you. She can't hear you.
Oh,
guys.
okay, yeah. That's why we waved. That's a universal symbol.
Yeah. Anyways, Mom.
That's pretty funny.
Gabby's mom, friend of the podcast.
That's right.
I
Yes.
still live at home.
It's 2023. No one's judging you.
Yeah.
I'm the fresh prince that still lives at home.
Yeah. But Nathan, what were you going to say there?
Yeah, so I to reiterate, I've got a couple of cousins down. One is 10 years old, one is 13. Of course, they're siblings. And what I want to know is, as their cousin, right? I don't have to not play favorites because I
No.
have a very clear favorite. And there's a big difference in age, of course, right? I'm in my 30s. They're 13
Yeah.
and 10 respectively. And the 10-year-old is the cutest goddamn kid in the entire world. Like, she is the absolute best, and she loves scary stories, and it's just it hits me right in the feels.
Oh,
And then the other one is a 13-year-old boy, and
Mhm.
that's really all I
Go
need to
on.
say, because there's never been a 13-year-old boy who hasn't been a real shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just gross. They're sticky for some
Always
reason. They
sticky.
smell.
Yeah.
Like are they in the transition period? Do they like Axe or do they not know about deodorant yet?
Definitely towards the latter, which I will take over the spraying a whole can of Axe, in
Oh,
the
yeah.
air and jumping through it, as most teenagers I think do. And yeah, so I'm trying to be, impartial, because they're siblings and they fight all the time, and
Mhm.
you're there and you're like, I'm an adult, I can't just always take the better one's side. But I
yeah.
want to. Yeah, so I'm not in the wrong there, right? Like, I can
It's
just have a
totally
favorite.
it's totally normal to have favorites. You know,
Okay.
that's nothing's ever bad happening. I mean, look at the fucking royal family. Charles definitely wasn't mommy's favorite.
That's
he turned
true.
out fine.
Sure.
Yeah, her favorite was a pedophile.
I know.
This is weird.
Everything turned out great.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I think you're in the right.
Okay, that's
you know,
good.
you don't have to be beholden to favorites. And obviously these aren't things that you're saying to them.
No,
But
certainly.
there
not to.
there is sort of a disconnect where you say, you know, being so much older and them being just a douchey teenager. It's like, you know what? You don't have to, you're not the parent. You don't have to make excuses for them in that sense of like, I love them unconditionally. No, you're just like, you're in a transition period. You might come out the other end and be somebody that I'll want to hang out with and spend time with as a family member. But right now, they might just be a huge dick.
And they might turn into like someone you can hang out with, or they might turn into a mega incel and you take.
Ooh, there's always
fanboy.
that chance. Yeah.
There's always that. There's always that chance. That's always a gamble whenever you have boys.
Yeah, because I got some gifts, right? They're only here for a week, and I got them gifts, and so for my favorite one, I got her a book of Canadian ghost stories because she loves scary stories and stuff. And I took her around Halifax and I told her all sorts of scary stories from when I was doing my tours back in the day. Mm-hmm. And so I got her a book and I wrote a little like thing on the cover, just like I enjoyed your story because she's been telling me weird made up stories all week. So I was like, enjoyed your stories, and, you know, that. Yeah. And so in the other one, he's into fishing, so I got him a fishing lure.
So that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, like the personalization, it really skews heavily on one side, but you know, I'm still getting something, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not a monster.
Yeah. No.
Gabby, you watch any movies? Anything you want to talk about?
I did watch the 1985 Soviet war film, Come and See.
You did talk about that. Mm-hmm. How was that? And how's your soul?
It was stressful, to say the least. Like as soon as it started, I was stressed, and then my stress levels got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I just felt like a shell human being. I also watched it with someone who like sometimes they emit jokes throughout it, and so it kept it a little bit more lighthearted. But there was just like
a little bit of spoonful of sugar.
yeah. But it was a beautiful movie. Beautiful, not in the sense of like nice, beautiful, but as a
like a human condition sort of thing.
Yeah. We see like the extreme tragedies. They actually kill. So there's a scene in it where they're trying to get a cow for a bunch of like refugees from a town. So anyways, the main character, Flora, he tried to get a cow to bring back to these people because they're starving, they're hungry. Anyways, one of the big, I don't know guns. It's very evident. But very big guns that go pew, 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 pew. And they look like lasers going across the sky.
So those are tracer rounds that do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Those.
Okay.
Anyways, they actually and they're shooting all over the place, and it hits the cow, and then I screamed to the top of my lungs.
Is it a special effect, or do they actually kill a cow?
They actually shot the cow.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and but there was like some things where I was like, Jesus Christ, like the set, like maybe like the set of like the film. Film sets are probably vary between like say what is regulated now versus that like back in the 80s, especially back in Soviet Belarus. Must be different because there was this awful scene. It's very, very traumatic. Flora basically watches a chapel get burnt down with people in it, and anyways, it's just there's this woman who tries to flee with the baby, and this is extremely graphic, so big trigger warning because before the church gets set on fire, the woman comes out, and then they let her out, but they threw the baby back in.
Oh, Jesus.
It was like a toddler,
Yeah.
and they just tossed him back in. They probably had like a blanket or something on the other side before, but it was just.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I would hope so, but it was just like
I don't know. They got rubber bones. Yeah, whatever.
yeah, it was just like even like talking about like recapturing the scene. It just like it puts like a pit in my stomach because like
I'd imagine. Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems like one of those kind of movies that sticks with you. It's probably one of the reasons I've avoided watching it. Like I can only deal with so many of those a year.
Yeah.
Like some people, I feel like they're like, my Criterion collection is like all black and white cover, foreign films about war, and it's like
yeah.
I can't. My soul just can't handle that. Like
Yeah.
even in really mainstream movies, like I don't like too realistic of violence, and especially sexual violence. I look that up. I usually don't. I pretty much exclusively don't watch movies that have rape in them.
Yeah.
Because it's too upsetting to me. I don't like it. I think about it too much, and so I just avoid it. But I'd imagine a movie like that, just it's very raw.
Yeah. It definitely is, and it's. I think it was such like a beautifully made film as well, and you just can't help. And like the acting by Alexei Kravchenko, who played Floya, was amazing because you see him become like this like happy-go-lucky young man. He's excited to join the resistance, and then it's just constant like shit upon shit upon shit, and you just see him become. He looks like he aged 40 years in a span of like an hour and a half. But
wow. Well, I'll try to give us the upswing here. And
There we go. Yeah,
I watched a couple of the Star Trek movies just for the comfort of them. Are you Star Trek people at all? I don't know if I've talked to you guys about this at all.
I like Star Trek. I do. I'm more of a fantasy person more than I am a sci-fi person.
That's fair, yeah, because I'm the opposite. Like I find like fantasy stuff, I enjoy it, but like I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies probably collectively less than 10 times between the three of them.
The Lord of the Rings is like a Christmas movie for me. I always put it on.
Yeah, that's fair. They are good.
Yeah.
But yeah, high fantasy just never connects. Like I never watched Game of Thrones. I think I watched like half the first season and I was like, this is just Xena with more boobs and less lesbians. So I was like, whatever, I'm done with this. But yeah, sci-fi has always been a big thing for me. I literally have 2 Star Trek tattoos and multiple Star Trek shirts. When I was working the Indigenous games, I was like, do I go a 3rd day in a row with a different Star Trek shirt?
Yeah.
I think I will. But yeah, I just was like in a mood to watch them. I watched 2 of the Next Generation movies, the first 2. So Star Trek Generations and Star Trek First Contact. And I had a great time with that. Generations is usually one that people don't like. But I like a lot. Like it does feel like a big budget episode. And that's probably a thing that people have a problem with. But for me, I like it. It's a good send off of the series. And then you get into the next one where that feels very much like Star Trek. It's a movie. I think I made that joke about X-Files where I was like, X-Files Fight the Future is, they got a budget. And you can feel it in First Contact. And it's Jonathan Frakes who plays Riker who's directing that one. So he knows the source material. Like he's lived it for however many years at that point and directed episodes. So it really connects if you're into Star Trek. And honestly, even for people that are like only passing, because before I watched the series, I had seen the Next Gen movies and only so many episodes just as a kid watching it with my parents. And that one always stuck with me and I'd remember it quite well. So yeah, no, I had a great time watching those. I don't think I watched much else outside of that for movies. There's things that I want to watch. I know Guardians of the Galaxy is like available now to kind of check out, and I want to go back to the theaters to see Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones, and some other things. But yeah, it kind of just went the comfort movie route this time.
Nice. I was a big Next Generation guy. I've watched a fair bit of the original series, but I've watched the entirety of Next Generation, and I think at least 90% of Deep Space Nine. So that was kind of my era, and I loved First Contact. That was kind of my Star Trek film.
It's great. The main score of it is like so pretty. Like I love it.
Yeah. Also, talking about bringing this back to the start of the episode, the Borg Queen, it kind of does it for me. Gotta say.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
Boar Queen,
Yeah.
super into that.
Mhm.
Yeah, all the different actresses who have played the Boar
Yes.
Queen. Yeah, super into all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
which, if we start to go through and pick out all the times I talk about who I'm attracted to, paints a really scary picture.
I remember during like watching the original run, I was always more of a Beverly.
Just before you say this, great segue. We're talking about TV now. Run that theme.
Sheesh, 40,000 channels and only 150 of them have anything good on.
And go.
Okay. Yeah, so when I was watching the original series, so this was kind of my early teenage years, it was always either between Beverly Crusher and Deanna Troi, and I think Beverly Crusher was probably my crush for
For sure.
Next Gen.
Yeah, Beverly, and I don't know. And it's like hard to describe what it is about between the two of them that it is. But yeah, I've always really liked Beverly Crusher. And I think part of it for me is because the doctors on the series don't ever have to address people by their rank, even though they're able to call people by their first name. So there's something like candid and next door about her that, yeah, I've always really liked.
Yeah.
Whereas Deanna is in the therapist role. So it always feels like wrong to have a crush on her. It feels like having a crush on my own therapist.
Well, Deanna, for me, it was always she was always a little bit more complainy, I think. And Beverly Crusher had that air of authority of being a doctor and like professional women. Yeah, that's okay.
Fair.
I like that.
You guys just need mommies to take care of you.
Ouch, Jesus.
Ooh.
Shots fired.
Come on now.
Oh
Man.
But yeah, and you mentioned Deep Space. Yeah, Deep Space Nine I love. Like I have I think TNG is probably my favorite series, but I'll admit that Deep Space Nine is probably the better one because of how deep the characters are able to evolve more. There's more of a connected story throughout, and that's what I really like about that. And I love all the new stuff. Like I watch Strange New Worlds with my friends every week. We do like my buddy Zach lives in the Valley now, so we do a video call with him. And it's me and my girlfriend here on one end of it, and we'll watch the new episode of Star Trek, whatever it is, because they have like 4 concurrent series going on at the same time. So like when one ends its short season, another one's already started. So all that stuff's been pretty great, and that's most of my life. Yeah, it's just Star Trek. Though I did. Have you guys watched The Bear?
No.
I have like not heard anybody really talk about it. Like anytime I've seen like a post, people are like, it's great. So I just threw on the first episode and from what I can tell, it's about a guy who inherited a restaurant from his brother, and he worked in kind of classy, upscale restaurants. And this is like this sandwich shop in Chicago that's really rough. Yeah. And the first episode was nuts. It's like just constant people talking over each other and getting into this like interpersonal drama and learning a little bit of their backstories. But it was really cool and interesting. And this actor, this main guy, I can't remember his name, but he's like kind of blowing up right now and has been in some other stuff.
Was he in Shameless?
He might have been. I should probably just look it up while we're sitting here, because I know there's and something else, because I want to talk a little bit about wrestling because of watching that. The People's Elbow reminded me, but he's going to be in this wrestling biopic about it was like a family of wrestlers. They were all these brothers, and it was kind of like at the end of the 70s. And I remember, if you guys ever heard of Dark Side of the Ring?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Dark Side of the Ring, great docuseries, and they did an episode about these brothers, and it just is super sad. Like, they all had a lot of mental problems, and I mean, this is like an era of like people taking headshots and not getting help for it and stuff. So like basically, like everybody in this family except for one brother who is still alive today and just like lives by himself in Hawaii and meditates all the time, they all fucking killed themselves.
Jesus.
Wow.
Like, it's pretty crazy. So they're making this biopic about it. He's going to be in it. I'm going to look up his name, but if there's
is it
any other
Jeremy
TV
Allen White or something? Is that it?
I think that is who it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because I see like a bunch of people like
right.
thirsting on him on TikTok.
It is. Yeah, it's Jeremy Allen White. Yeah, and he's really good in The Bear. And it really, I've never worked in a kitchen, but it's as close as it feels real. I was like, I feel like I need to show this to somebody who's working in a kitchen. They might be like, oh yeah, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Just screaming at each other all the time.
Yeah.
But I want to see this movie is going to be in about these wrestlers. I think that's going to be really cool.
That sounds
but
good.
yeah, any TV you guys have been diving into?
Yeah. So I just recently had a gig where I was live streaming the Baseball Canada's women's championship.
I did that as well.
You did. So basically that got me like sort of in the mood to watch something like baseball related. And I've always wanted to watch a series, A League of Their Own. It's
I was thinking about that a bunch too when I was working it.
Yeah, it was based off the 1992 film with like Rosie O'Donnell and stuff like that. But this
Gina Davis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Madonna as well.
Yes. And Lori Petty, Tank Girl herself.
Oh my. Yeah. Anyways.
Same girl, same.
It's so it was amazing. It focuses on not only the main baseball players, but also a side character, not a side character, but it's like a different storyline about a black pitcher named Max, and she wanted to try out for the Peaches, which is where the other storyline focuses on the actual baseball team. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story about finding one's own sexuality, especially in a time during, this was set during 1940s wartime America. So there was like all these standards to be hyper feminine, also not be gay because you'd get arrested, and the character did get arrested for being gay. But it's a very good, like, it tells like a really beautiful story, but it also like doesn't sugarcoat the emotions that come with living in a time like where it's illegal to love who you love. And everyone on that team I absolutely adored, except for one, Shirley.
Fuck her.
Yeah, well, no, she came around in the end, but it has Abby Jacobson. She was in Broad City. Abby
Jacobson's great.
Yeah, she's great. It also had Darcy Carden. I think she's like in The Good Place, or is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It is. I've not watched it. I've seen a few episodes like from other people watching it, but I've not sat down with it myself.
But also like my top like players that I would absolutely kiss on the mouth and die for. So there's like Abby Jacobson's character, Carson Shaw, lover. There's so Roberta Colindres, she plays a Mexican American pitcher, and whose name is Lupe Garcia. Gorgeous. She plays a gorgeous Butch. The Butch characters, love. It made me want to be like, I want a nice Butch baseball player to take care of me. Yeah, it was. And then you also have Kelly McCormick, who's Canadian, another Canadian actor, and she plays like this hyper competitive, like Canadian. She plays a Canadian, and as a Canadian, but she's great. Another Butch character. And then there's like Joe DeLuca, the character. She's just like this fun-loving, like hyper masculine Butch character again. I'm like. Anyways.
Oh, that's awesome. I definitely want to check it out. I was always a fan of the movie.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, it would be on TV a lot, so I would watch it and stuff. But I haven't seen it in years. And I remember when the show was coming out, the thing that I think is great for the show is really getting into more of the realism. Because I think in the movie, I don't know if anybody is allowed to be gay in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if that ever comes up. And again, it's been a long time since I've seen it. But I do know when they talked to some of the actual surviving people that they were like, well, they cut that out. Like they cut out all the stuff about me being gay and all these struggles. And that's like it's a surprisingly common thing with Rosie O'Donnell movies in the 90s as well. Because what's that one where it's like, Now and Then, I think it is. It's like Christina Ricci plays her when she's a kid, but then Rosie O'Donnell plays her when she's an adult. And that was based on a book written by a woman. It was her actual kind of account of like coming of age, and in the book she talks about being gay, but they cut it out of the movie.
Yeah. Well,
so it's nice that we're kind of revisiting some of these stories and able to tell really how people felt.
Yeah, actually, Rosie O'Donnell had a cameo in this, and she played.
Nice.
She played a as Vi, like as she was like the owner of like an underground gay club, and yeah, Rosie O'Donnell looked great as a pure butch. Yeah.
Yeah, anytime I see her in interviews now, she's got like the short little gray hair and she's rocking it.
Yeah, she looks great. But yeah, I cried at the last episode. The amount of times I blubbered, just full open mouth sobbing.
Openly wept.
Yeah.
I watched the and Nathan, I'll let you chime in here. I see you waiting, but if we're gonna talk about things like openly wept at recently, I watched the documentary series about American Gladiators, and I was not expecting it to get me in the feels, but there was some stuff that these people talk about where last episode, just tears like coming down. I couldn't handle it. So I was never like somebody, I missed that era. I only ever saw it in reruns. So if you've never even thought of American Gladiators, check out this series. It's actually really fun. The guy who plays Benitez is in it because he's one of the main guys who came up with the games. He was a stunt actor, so he was there helping them design things and be safe and how to like yank people on pulleys and all this stuff. So he's there. They're interviewing him. Dude looks the same haircut, but he's got a beard. It's all white now.
Oh wow!
Other than that, he looks the same. It's crazy.
Is he still in the tank?
I wish.
Okay.
I only saw him for like I saw what you're seeing of me now.
Yeah,
it's just a medium shot. He might have been.
For the listeners and the watchers, this is a movie that we covered a long time ago. That's going to come out. It's going to come out later. It's taking a
future joke.
I broke my own rule.
Yeah.
I broke my own rule and made a future joke.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, we might just. I don't know. We can keep. You know what? Little tease for the folks because now they can try to figure out what I'm talking about. But anyway, aside from my flubbing, Nathan, please, has there been any series that you've been watching?
Yeah, we've been watching through the second season of Kevin Can F Himself.
How is that?
It's fantastic. It is.
I've not heard of this. What is
so much
this?
fun? So this stars Annie Murphy. You might know her from Schitt's Creek. If you watch that show, which was fantastic.
I didn't,
she played
but I'm
Alexis.
assuming she was the daughter.
Yes, she was the daughter.
Okay, yeah.
And
you, David.
Yes,
that
that's
person?
the,
Okay,
that's the one. Much different character here. So the premise of the show basically is that she is married to an aughts sitcom husband. And so the way it's shot is a lot of fun. You guys would really like it if you haven't watched it yet because of your backgrounds with television. But it's shot anytime that he is in the room or present as a 3-camera sitcom and like super well lit from the aughts. And then anytime he's not, we get a much more dark kind of single camera, closer up, more realistic, gritty life. And it's basically her dealing. It's all of the fallout from these stupid sitcom hijinks.
Oh, like the King of Queens and all that stuff.
Yeah, King of Queens. According
Everyone
to Raymond.
loves Raymond.
According to
Raymond.
According to Raymond. We're just out here creating new Mandela effects for all those fucking psychos.
Raymond.
Yeah. So those kind of ones. And it's only 2 seasons and it's very, very good. It's so much fun to kind of see the differences in how it's shot. And they do a perfect job with the sitcom scenes. Like if you lived through that era and you remember watching those shows,
oh yeah,
it's bang on. Like the writers must have grown up, on those same sitcoms. And so I heartily recommend it. Each episode's like 40 minutes. It's like 20 episodes between the 2 seasons, and it's well worth your time.
Awesome.
I love cerebral stuff like that because I think I saw a couple trailers for it and it's on my incredibly long list of stuff to watch. But it kind of reminds me of like going between like the different like styles, like, and emphasizing on like someone's like mental state, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like I read a book that kind of reminds me of that. It's called I'm Thinking About Leaving. It was adapted for a Netflix movie with Jesse Buckley and the guy in Breaking Bad who shot a kid. Jesse Plemkins.
Like,
Oh, okay.
okay, shot a kid in the show.
In the show.
Okay.
Yeah, in the show, not real life.
I thought this was going to be like the guy from Sons of Anarchy that like killed his grandmother and his dog and jumped off of like the balcony of their house and killed himself.
No, but it was very good. It's like almost like a David Lynchian, but if David Lynch actually makes sense. So
I don't know about you, David Lynch has always made sense to me.
Oh,
you know?
But yeah, it was very good, and I recommend everyone to read it. So.
Oh, we're on to the oh shit, we don't have an intro for a book thing.
Oh.
But we can come up with one right now.
Yay.
Or how about we just
let's or just roll with it.
Either way,
I don't know how much reading we've been doing.
Yeah,
like I read trash and irregularly.
Yeah,
like I've read all the Meg books. Like, you know, there's that Jason Statham movie, The Meg.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I've read. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I have read a bunch of them. Yeah, on the Jaws episode, I mentioned that I read all of these Meg books. But yeah, that's all I read, so it's all just fucking garbage.
What about you, Nathan?
I tend to read cozier things, I think. So the last book that I read was The Hobbit, and I've read it multiple times, but I hadn't read it for a long time, and it's my favorite of the Tolkien books, just because it is just that pure adventure fantasy. God, every time I read that book, I get a little bit more angry at the movies that came out because of that. Oh man, they were something else. But yeah, I just that was kind of it for me recently. I don't want to say I'm not a reader, but I read somewhat infrequently, at least novels.
Yeah.
I'm more into kind of short stories. I love short ghost stories and stuff. So I read a lot of that, both kind of the online creepypasta, as well as I go back and I read public domain ghost stories.
Yeah.
I used to actually have a podcast where I did that, and that was a lot of fun, but now I just kind of read them as my own type of thing. Yeah. How about you?
Me? Well, actually, I read a lot of like fiction and nonfiction books. Currently, I picked up a book from the library. I love the library, man. It's so good. It's Red Mitten Nationalism. So it's basically about like sports commercialism and like settler colonialism in Canada. So basically, it's I just started it. So the basic gist, the basic gist that I got is like they're talking about it's like you're looking at like sports and consumerism. Like I think in like when you think about it in any other real sports events before the Vancouver 2010 Winter Olympics, I think we of course had our nationalism, but I think with like the whole red mittens, you know, like the classic ones that you saw with like the red knitted mittens with the white maple leaf on them. I think when that started, it just erupted into like this whole like consumerism that rose with our like that ties into our national identity. So when we bought like buying all those like mittens, which came from the Hudson Bay Company, which has like this whole other underlying relationship with colonialism.
I used to work there.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And just for our listeners who may not be Canadian, all of Canada was owned by the Hudson Bay Company at one point, and the Americans frequently were like, why don't we just invade that and steal it from this company? That was a common thing.
Yeah, and a lot of Hudson Bay companies really fucked over our indigenous communities
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
When did these red mittens come around? When did that
The
happen?
2010
So it was,
Vancouver Winter Olympics.
Okay.
Vancouver.
Did they talk at all about the other Olympics that we had? Because we had another one in like the 80s or something,
Yeah,
didn't we? We've had
1976 was like our.
Oh wow, even
was
older,
was the Montreal Olympics.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
in the book, there was some like people waving the flags, but with the Vancouver Olympics, everyone was just like showing their little red mittens off. But a lot of it, I haven't really gotten into the whole nitty gritty of it yet. Like I just got it.
Potatoes.
Yeah, the meat and potatoes. I just got it Monday, and I haven't really broken into
Cool.
it. So
Well, we'll definitely get more of a breakdown on it on the next one. I guess the only other thing I could say right now that I'm reading and I'm rereading it is Jurassic Park.
nice.
Have you guys ever read Jurassic Park?
I have, yeah.
I didn't, but I have listened to the audiobook.
Oh, that's reading.
Yeah.
I count that as
Yeah.
reading. If you've listened to the audiobook, yeah, you've got it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of it. I'd love them to do like a one-off series that's like set in 1990 and kind of have that same similar tech and look, because I just love the way the book describes this like kind of Disney, park type stuff with the juxtaposition of like everything looks like a fucking like bomb shelter because there's giant animals trying to kill everyone
Also,
there all
like,
the time.
It needs to be like rated R because we need to see the raptors.
Oh,
rip apart a
definitely.
baby.
The book, yeah,
Right.
it's not raptors. That's the compies that
Whatever.
that get there. I think actually, well,
Whatever. They're like little lizard
I say
things.
that. Yeah, there is, because one of the hooks of the book is that they're not sure that the creature that attacked a little girl is a raptor or a compy. So it might have been that those were just like, baby raptors.
Yeah.
I might be, showing my cards here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really good. But yeah, before we get into the rewind, I guess some things I wanted to throw out into the ether. We've been talking about doing a Patreon. I think we should definitely set one up. Because you can kind of get different tiers. But some things that I, thinking about things that we could put on the Patreon, I don't know, because there's other episodes where we talk about things that we want to put on it that I won't spoil now. But certain things I've thought of are like, there's a movie I'd love for all of us to talk about, but it just is not for the podcast. And that is something that I think would be a fun thing to do. And the movie element, it's The King of Kong. It's a documentary. Have you guys ever watched that?
I know of it, and I've watched, I think, like YouTube breakdowns about that dude. I think it's Billy Mitchell or something.
Billy Mitchell, yeah.
So I'm aware, and you know what? I may have even seen it a long time ago, but yeah, I'm aware of the whole, at least, controversies and stuff around it.
Yeah. But that, I'm like, that is a thing I'd love for us to do, is just to do a breakdown of that movie, put it on the Patreon. People got to pay to hear us talk about it, if they will, what have you. But yeah, that was something I was thinking about. And then I think the other things are coming up on soon to be episodes, and I'll let them flourish as they will.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing I thought about was starting an OnlyFans, and it's just us trying to put VHS tapes into a VCR with our feet.
Ooh.
You know what? I kind of really ugly feet, dudes. Looks like you're gonna have to do it. But
yeah, I'll completely take the charge on
All
this
right.
one.
Okay.
I'll get the pedicure. I've got tons of VHS.
yeah. Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Every time I'm over at Trash Rat's place, it's just a giant stack of like VHS tapes that I use as a stool.
Listening back episodes, there's a couple of episodes that I've listened to. I did not realize you were calling me Trash Rat in those episodes. And I was like listening to the last cult meeting, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, oh, I use that as my screen name.
Yeah.
And then in the next episode, you kept doing it. I was like, I've adopted a moniker now.
You did.
It's applied.
It is.
The flypaper is stuck.
It is. I think it's because in second year we all kind of like called each other the rats. in our
Yeah.
TV program.
Yeah. Well, I was already getting called Trash Rat.
Yeah.
And then, it got, I think it was Martha or whoever ran with it.
Yeah.
And there was everybody was something rat.
Yeah, I was
so,
lab rat because I was doing a medical study.
Oh, yeah.
That's so wholesome, man.
Yeah.
I feel left out. Yeah.
We can give you a rat name. What
Yeah,
about
I would
you?
love that. Yeah, it's got to come organically though. Don't force it.
All right.
Radio rat?
I mean, that's the obvious. That's the low hanging fruit.
That is. Yeah.
That is the low hanging fruit.
We'll
You're right.
come
Yeah.
up. We'll come up with
We'll
it.
figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait till I do something that's, truly terrible and then just put rat at the end there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the episode that just came out. Whoop, 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 whoop. So, all right. So, Daughters of Darkness just came out last week. It was the first episode that featured Gabby, and certainly not the last, as we clearly have blown the secret on that.
Yeah.
But I re-listened to it. Gabby, did you re-listen to it, or is there anything that you thought of recently about it?
I re-listened to it, and like we were all like hitting the heads and stuff like that. There's nothing really that came to mind when I was going through it. I think it was like some other episodes that I was like going through it. Like we just recorded one like last week.
Something like that, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Yeah, it was it was one, and I was like, damn, like there's like some historical things I could have brought up, but I just didn't think to do it. But no, I didn't think of it. Yeah, we don't really have like that much of an audience to sort of tell us that we're wrong yet. Or
yeah, and we were pretty well researched as well, as far as like, most of the things that I think of from this segment, at least coming from us, is maybe there was a joke or a note you had written down that you didn't say, or like something that you wanted to point out about the movie.
Yeah, it's I came a little bit more prepared for Daughters of Darkness than I did with any other episode I've done. I'm not gonna lie. It's just like I watched it, I made notes, I watched it again, and then I was like, okay, I'm good now. But I think with Daughters of Darkness, I kind of looked a little bit into my past notes that I made when I watched it in film school. Well, getting my minor in film studies. So,
Nathan, was there anything that popped out to you as you were editing it?
Yeah.
Toiling away over it?
I was toiling away. I found that we didn't hit on whether or not we would take this vampirism deal if it was offered to us, right? Because vampirism, right, there's always the pros and the cons. So we have kind of this archetype of what is the Countess's vampirism. So obviously eternal life, eternal youth. However, some pretty big downsides there. Firstly, she gains no particular strength. She doesn't turn into a bat. She doesn't do any of like the kind of more stereotypical vampire stuff. The running water thing is a pretty big downside.
it is, because I like to swim, man. I like my showers.
I was gonna say, I love showers.
Showering is great. I do. It's so good to be hygienic.
And if you're like, okay, let's get into some vampire logic.
Okay.
Because you brought it up.
Yeah.
So running water, okay, it's a shower. You can't get in the shower. What about a tub? Because you start the water, and then so that's running water, okay, and then you turn it off, so it's no longer running water. Is it just water in general, or is it just like if it stopped moving?
I think you broke the system. I think Batory is taking baths.
Yeah, she's just taking baths.
Okay. See, that makes it much more manageable if it's just a bath versus shower conundrum, right? As long as you're getting hotel rooms that have baths.
Yeah, she just has like a bunch of like dry shampoo for her hair or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's fair. Dry shampoo is dark magic. It really is. It's great stuff. I only discovered it like in the last couple of years, and I'm just like, this is fantastic.
I use it when it's like, because I always take like showers and baths, like, but sometimes I hate like washing my hair. I hate washing my hair. So there'll be some days where I'm just like, oh, man, like I don't feel like washing my hair, drying it, styling it. So sometimes I'll just take some dry shampoo. Yeah.
It's good in a pinch.
Yeah.
It's good.
I don't mind washing my hair. My hair's super thin though. I have to brush it every day. Obviously, I don't show it because I stuff it all up underneath the cap. But
Yeah.
I have hair down like past my nipples, and it's super thin, so I have to. I don't know. It's a easy like measurement tool.
Yeah.
But I have to brush my hair like every day, or else it's crazy knots. Like it just gets it's just a fucking rat's nest. But I do just tie it up all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I could take a bath, I'm probably into this vampirism. I think the main thing is that she turns you into a vampire and then doesn't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
So it's a really lonely life. Like it's really not a vampire wife or vampire husband like situation where you get to just be slutty in a sheer dress and eat babies. Like it seems like you're a Renfrew. Like you're just like her servant. It doesn't seem like you're on equal footing with her. So it's like, I don't know if I'd want to take that.
So you
Or,
not
of
only
course I'm gonna get my wrist slit by the fucking cake topper is what my inevitable end is.
Yeah, you do get some amazing like outfits, but you kind of get the shitty deal of being trapped in a shitty relationship for eternity.
Well, only until she gets bored with you.
Yeah, which would probably be like a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sends you off to fuck some random guy and then you die falling on a straight razor.
Yeah.
Then get kicked down a hill.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, when I listened to it, there's a couple things that I had said where I was like, ooh, I didn't research that. Was I right? And I mentioned, I was like, Belgium's probably not that far from Germany. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, fuck, is it super far? I looked it up, 5-hour drive. Okay. So I was in the wheelhouse of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
The other thing was I was like, was there faxing at the time? Because we mentioned that they get the newspaper really quickly. We're not sure how many days go by. But I knew there was like teletext. Faxing, as like in some whatever form, was around when Lincoln was alive.
Oh.
Because I saw a thing recently that said the last like of the samurais were like kind of put out and the caste system was done with after Lincoln's death. So that means there was a time when a samurai could have sent a fax to Abraham Lincoln. So
like
what
kind
world
of like
that would have been?
Fax, like was it attached to like a oh god, what is it called? It goes like beep 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 beep.
Oh,
beep.
more like a Morse, like a telegraph. Yeah,
telegraph line. Yeah.
I assume they must mean some form of telegraph when they say fax. Yeah, because again, like it's not like like printing out or anything like that. Because whenever I think that's funny, because it's like I've like right before I went back to school worked for places that still faxed things.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know, and you're using just like a giant fucking printer that has like a fax function on it, but still in my mind faxing involves like dot matrix like lengths of connected paper.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, like because you have like Morse code and they would print out the code onto like
like
tiny,
little ticker tape.
Yeah, god, what is it called? It's not called Morse code machine. What is it called? It is called the Morse code machine.
Oh, okay. You were so adamant there. I was sold.
I thought it was something called. I thought it was called something else. Okay.
Have you guys had to send fax for work before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
it's the worst thing in the world.
And when you have like two pieces of paper and they get like stuck together and then they both go, and then I have to like keep resending it, and then my boss get mad at me. And I'm like, you're trying to fucking do this, dude.
Yeah. The worst for me was just that you're sending faxes in the year. For me, it was like 2020, 2021. I'm sending fucking faxes. And I'm like,
this could have been email.
I would have to send a fax, and then I'd have to call them because they would never confirm that they got it. So I'd have to call them and be like, did you get that fax? And I'm like, fuck. Like, there must be an easier way. We're just like using older technology in worse ways, in ways that are less convenient when they were popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I worked at the library, one of my jobs as a circulation supervisor is when our system went down, kind of our library system, we would have to fall back to sending faxes for our phone tree. And so what would happen was IT, the department, would call our library, and then we would have to call 2 other libraries, and then they would have to call libraries. But on top of that, we would have to send out faxes to every library telling them that the system was down and when they thought the system would be up again. So there was not a single time that I finished faxing libraries before the system came back up again. It was the wildest part of my job, because I would be there feeding paper and then they'd be like, oh, yeah, it's back up. And then I would just be like, okay. And then I would start sending them messages to tell them that the system was back up. This is your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, what's on your finger?
Oh, I was just playing with a little, I think I got it from my AirPods. It's just like a little like Apple holder thing that you pull up. Yeah, I'm a fidgeter. I can't not fidget with things. So I try to do it below the camera. But yeah, I've been playing with these little things here.
Nice.
I got a little dead cat here that I've been playing with.
Nice.
It's yeah, I can't stop. I always got to be touching things.
Tactile contact.
That's right.
Oh man. And since Gabby's finished us off with a jerking motion, I God. Something that I noticed, and our listeners can either look forward to or take bets on when the day happens. We recorded an episode recently where we did not say cuck one single time.
Now we have to ad-lib it in.
just ADR it in.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah.
Gabby, if you want to send me just like some takes of that, I will. I'll just put them in everything. Oh, yeah, just like that too.
Yeah.
Just blow out my eardrums. That'll do.
So there is an episode. People can start taking bets on it now.
Mm-hmm.
We can have some polls. People can guess which episode's not going to have it. But I was re-listening to episodes and I realized there was one we didn't say cuck. So people can take
shocked
guesses.
because I have listened through all of them and I didn't notice that. So now I have to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is one where we don't.
Yeah.
I was
I'll
surprised.
see if I can find it while I'm editing.
Yeah. So obviously our next episode is The Unborn, 1991. I'm emphasizing that now so that Nathan, when you release the episode, put the year in brackets in the episode title, because I don't want people watching some other thing and hating us for that.
Yeah.
It is The Unborn 1991. I'm super looking forward to this episode. I think we all lost our minds over that movie. It's super fucking weird and crazy. Here I'll quickly just see if there's any places that people can
Jesus
get it.
Christ, I'm sorry.
I think it was totally fine. I think it was on YouTube, and we mentioned that in the episode or whatever. But I'm gonna just make sure people know where to find 1991's The Unborn.
Yeah, I think I watched it on
it's
YouTube.
on Tubi.
Oh, Tubi. Good old Tubi.
Yeah. I think that's where I watched it. So it's on Tubi with ads. There is no other version of it, so we don't have to worry about a director's cut or anything. So Tubi, I think I got like one commercial. That's definitely where you can watch it. It's worth watching. It's worth your time. Stick with it.
You do have to stick with it. Honestly, I was not sure about this movie for a while, and then I was like, "Oh wait, no, this just turned into one of our movies." Okay.
Yeah.
There's a very
it really is that.
definitive point where it becomes our type of movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's all I had to say. I think that's all we had to say.
Yep.
All right. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Again, endings are hard. I don't know what we've been doing. I mean, the last one ended cool. There was like, Nathan, you said something. Gabby, you had a cheerful little goodbye. I don't know what the fuck I said. I think I just said endings are hard.
Yeah. Did you know? How about we end on a fact?
Okay, sure.
Let's do it.
So this is a fact about the human body. Did you know that you could play a basketball tournament on foreskin.
No,
I think I have more questions than
This answered none of the questions that I didn't have until you said that.
Yeah, it says you could play a basketball tournament on foreskin. Like, do you just pull it down?
If you stretch it out,
is it almost like the intestine? You know, if you pull it out, it goes up to like.
I don't think it does
a couple
that.
feet, or
I'm no, it definitely doesn't do that. I'm assuming this person went to a hospital, took all of the discarded foreskin, and made a basketball court out of it, and it's gonna work.
I hate this fact. Let's
endings are hard.
leave. Okay. See you later, everybody.
Endings are hard.
Goodbye.